Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Burlington Matters. I am Burlington Mayor Marianne Meed Ward, and once again have a stellar panel of local Burlingtonians to talk to you about. This time we are talking about the She session. We'll talk about what that means, and the She-Covery. So I am absolutely thrilled to have on the show two local business owners, women who have started a business during COVID. So think about that. We're going to talk to them about whether they're foolhardy or brave or both starting a business, but they've inspired me. I've had a chance to visit both their businesses, inspired me greatly that they have not let COVID keep them down. So before we get into, before I introduce my guests and give them a chance to talk to you about what they do, the She session, what is it? So what we have discovered, what economists have discovered and folks that look at the data is that women are disproportionately negatively affected by the economic downturn as a result of COVID. More women are on the front lines of the pandemic. Women still have the bulk of childcare responsibilities and household responsibilities, and of course try to run your business or your job while you're also looking after kids when the schools were closed. That was a huge challenge for women. We're all at home more, and so those households where there is risk of domestic violence, we've seen increases in numbers there. And women's participation in the workforce has gone down more than other sectors of the market just because of the nature of the jobs that we do. So a lot of women are on the front lines and are also not getting the pandemic pay. So you add it all up, and some folks have taken to calling the economic downturn that we are currently in with COVID a She session because it does disproportionately affect women. On the flip side, and this is what we're going to talk about today, women are the key to our economic recovery too. And we're going to talk about why and the resilience and the courage that women bring to the table. And we're going to get right to it and talk about some women who are single-handedly helping to lead Burlington's She-Covery here. So I would first like to introduce Leigh-Ann Allaire Perrault, who is the owner of Hulala. And I'm going to let her tell you in a minute what that is all about. And we also have Jacqui Cronin with us today, the owner of the Platter company. So I'm going to come to you, Leigh-Ann, first. Tell us what Hulala is all about, and then I'll turn to you, Jacqui, and then we'll get into what possessed you to open a store in the middle of COVID. So what do? Talk to us about that. Over to you, Leigh-Ann, first.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me and supporting me and my small business that could in the community. It really is a dream come true. And what that business is, it's really come from a lifelong passion for at least as long as I can remember in my life, for decor, design. And that really started from working in Burlington in a little decor shop many, many, many years ago when I was 15 years old. And I remember standing behind the counter of that shop thinking, oh, one day I would love to have my own space. And just the ability to connect with the community and the customers that come in and form those great relationships. So fast forward just a few years, and it took the pandemic and the pause that I had during the pandemic to really decide to push through and make that a reality. Because for me, it was really more the thought, not so much about chasing success, but what really fulfilled me. And I kept coming back to this thought. I've come back to it for years and years. So I'm just about to open Hulala and hulala.com. And the main purpose of the space is to curate it with not just items that I love, because that is really a main core of the business, of decor, lifestyle items, fashion. There's a whole bunch of everything in store. But it also gave me an opportunity to support other local makers. And when I actually think about it, every single one of them are all women and all within my community. So that's just been an absolute fringe benefit that I can't even say was a calculated plan, so to speak. But the fact that I'm now an outlet to support so many other small businesses and so many other women during the She-Covery has been just such an amazing feeling.
That is awesome. I did have the opportunity to drop by the store. It is spectacular. It's beautiful. if you're looking for gifts for yourself, for others, Christmas is coming. It's just right around the corner, folks. So take a tour up there, or take a tour online. It's a amazing collection of items. So do what you love is what I heard in there.
You bet.
Follow your dreams, follow your passion, do what you love, which is just awesome. Over to you, Jacqui, the Platter Company, which I also had the privilege of dropping by. But tell us how you got started and what you do over at the Platter Company.
Well, thank you all. Pleasure to be here too. Thank you so much again for your support as well and having me here today. So very pleased and proud to be speaking with all of you today. I love what you said, though. Is it the craziest thing, whatever possessed us to do this? And it's so true, because I didn't say this at the beginning. This is either the smartest thing that I decided to do or the absolute dumbest thing I decided to do. Happy to report it's the smartest, not good. Now, my company, the Platter Company, we were primarily catering for 3 years. We were in an Aldershot for 3, going on 4 years as a catering company, corporate, personal, all that good stuff, with our artisan food platters. COVID hit. So yes, I've said this before, the phone was ringing, but it was all cancellations. And, very scary time of catering for everybody and everyone in the food service industry as well, right? We just didn't know what was coming, and the writing was on the wall that catering is over for now. We didn't know when it was going to be coming back. So I had to let everybody go. Went home, shut the doors, admittedly had a bottle or 2 of wine, a little tear, and decided, okay, is this all my hard work? Is it over? Decided it not to be over. So, came back to work, called back my number 1 gal and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's try something different. And it took us into a direction that we really wanted to go into with the prepared meals, things like that. And we just went for it. And it was a real risk too, because we're not getting the income from the catering orders. They're all being canceled, obviously. And if we're preparing these meals, if you make them, will they come? So we took to social. We said, this is what we're doing. We did curbside. We did smaller portions. Then I'm happy to announce that they came. They came in droves. They supported us. Our local community supported us. Not old, but customers for catering came out and said, this is fantastic. J&G Meats was amazing. Our neighbor next door, sending people over here. It was quite incredible. And, and it just grew from there. And, I say COVID made me do it, basically, because it legitimately made me do it. And I'm happy to report now that we've changed from catering to a market. And the market now is doing all our prepared meals, and it's going very, very well, thank goodness. So happy to say that. Anyway,
that's awesome. And I have taste sampled your goods, which are amazing. So we were actually one of those catering customers at the city. We brought you in for a luncheon that I had with high school students. I do a range of mentoring of young women, and so it was a lunch in terms around International Women's Day. And you're right, the catering doesn't happen because the social gatherings typically don't happen. But in my world, where I'm doing my regular job and COVID itself is like another full-time job, I don't have time to cook. Love to cook, but don't have time to cook. So we, as you know, I got some frozen items and some soups. They were spectacular. Just had some the other day, and it actually makes it's actually a stress reliever for me. It's more than food. I don't have to think about what I have to do when I've worked at a 12 or 14-hour day. I can just rely on it being tasty and locally sourced. I really like. Yeah, I really like that. I want to come back to that as well. You mentioned that, Leigh-Ann. Talk to us about some of the local, if you feel comfortable, about some of the local artisans that are here that people may not know about. And it's really neat to hear that they're all women as well.
Yes, the power of social media has been amazing, because I found over the years that I've been exposed to so many artisans that I may not have met otherwise. And there are some amazing talents right in our own backyard. One artist that I particularly love, who I carry her work in the shop, her business name is Poppermost Prints. And she actually has a really fantastic minimalist look, but with a feminist undercurrent for a lot of her work. So she does a whole collection of inspiring women, which it's amazing just to even have, like, be able to design your home with somebody, or that person, that personality that evokes so much emotion for so many of us, such as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I'm actually partnering with her to do a commission print, which we will be having in the shop, where proceeds will be going to the Canadian Women's Foundation, for example. So the ability to work with local artisans allows me to get creative and collaborate, which is that personalized element and customized element you don't always get in the big box stores. So doing some creative things like that, as well as working with a lot of jewelry designers. So there's one girl that I've met who I've become quite great friends with. Her name is Sean Bennett, and she has two companies, one of which is Hello Happy, and she's located in Waterdown. And the other company is Embroidery. And Hello Happy does a lot of handmade jewelry. So I carry a full collection with her, and we've also done some collaborations. And then Embroidery, she does those really adorable embroidered hoops with either funny sayings or children's names. So again, everything's so personalized and customized. So it really does create the unique experience, and it gives you the ability to personalize your home.
That's incredible. And you also mentioned that the J&G Meats beside you is another local store. Just shifting gears now to the local companies that you use, Jacqui. So J&G Meats is one. I know Flower Child Bakery, also started by a woman about a year ago, but has a new bricks and mortar. I can tell you, when my family gathered. My immediate family gathered for Thanksgiving, we stopped at your shop. We got some custom made peach preserves. Oh my gosh, they were to die for at J&G Meats. And then I went and got some pastries at, right there in a row on Plains Road in Aldershot. So tell me about any of the other businesses locally that you work with to source the products in your store.
Absolutely. And I think this has been a learning curve for me too as a business owner. Given COVID, you really look to your own backyard more so than you've done before. And I'm really proud of that as well. So there's a lot of businesses in Hamilton for our hot sauces that we're bringing in, our chutneys and things like that, from a lot of women as well that are coming to me saying, hey, would you carry this? Of course I will. If it's good, obviously it's good, it's gourmet, it's local, happy to carry it. So our hot sauces, our granola, we're working with Detour Coffee in Hamilton as well. Granola crackers in Toronto, Neil's hot sauce, Wellington made. So lots of good stuff coming in as well. Plus everything that we do is homemade and on site too. So we're trying to avoid packaging and all those things as well, and really supporting our community and our friends all around. It's wonderful. It's wonderful for all of us.
One of the things I've really noticed with all of the businesses that I've been privileged to kind of meet in the last few months is that there is this ecosystem now that's being built of companies supporting other companies. And part of that is because we can't as easily import things from other countries due to COVID. And so I like your the way you put it, that COVID forces us to look far more local and micro, but that benefits everybody in our community. I was recently talking to Park Market and Refillery, a husband and wife team there. So another woman in the She-Covery, and same story for them. They've started a bricks and mortar, and it's taken off, and they source as much as they can. They have to, from local artisans, local suppliers. So it's really become, your store is more than just your store, right? It actually supports this entire local economy, which I think is why truly what you're doing is helping with the She-Covery. It's helping with the entire economic recovery in our community.
It's amazing what's out there. And it's amazing that it's taken this to force us to see that it's there. Shameful that it hasn't, it's taken this to see what's in your own backyard, but it's here and we're doing it. I don't think it's going away. It's going to grow. And that's
it is not good. Well, once you discover each other, right, and you build those partnerships, and I think that the public, I've always, as a elected official, heard from our businesses they would prefer local procurement, use for business or government contracts, or use our local economy, support our local economy. So that ethos has been there for quite some time, but it's too easy to just make a decision on price, for example, or volume, or some other consideration. And now I think we're recognizing in a whole new way just how much we depend on each other's success to be successful. So
for sure.
Yeah.
The one thing
I
I would
wonder,
add to that
go ahead,
as a
Leigh-Ann.
benefit. Yeah, sorry. The one thing that I just wanted to add is also, and I'm sure Jacqui, you've experienced this as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to feel lonely and feel like you're those late nights at your computer and those long days on your feet and feeling like you're just in it on your own. But having this new network, we now all have, it is an ecosystem. It truly is, of support, where we are all in this together.
Couldn't agree more.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I appreciate your transparency, both of you, and Jacqui, how you phrased it, that, when this all hit, you cried and drank.
Yeah.
To paraphrase, welcome to my world on occasion.
Yeah, hasn't ended yet.
Yeah. But what I love about that is that it didn't stop you. And I want to give you both a chance to kind of talk a little bit more about that emotional resilience and courage and perseverance that you must have. I'll come to you first, Leigh-Ann, around, you're not obviously afraid to fail. You've had, I'm not going to call it a failure, but you've had hiccups, you've had bumps, you've had blocks where you had to go in a completely new direction. It didn't stop you. How do you find that resilience, that courage to keep going in the face of that? And to open a bricks and mortar in the middle of a pandemic.
Well, Jacqui actually said it perfectly in the opening, how she said she decided to move forward. And it is a decision. You don't just let something happen to you. You can decide how you react to that thing. And I think the resilience just comes, certainly for me, I can only speak for myself, from the thought of regrets. And I know that regret is such a heavy thing for so many people, but yeah, it's really hard to start a business, and it's really easy to tell yourself and talk yourself out of it. But what I think would be so much more difficult than starting the business would be to not start it and look back and never have that dream fulfilled. So it's self-talk. 100% of it is self-talk. And those roadblocks, I quite literally would just say, okay, that's not my road, but where can I steer the car to another path that might be longer and might be windier, but will still get me to the end goal? And that's the resilience that you just have to keep telling yourself, even on those horrible days where you're drinking all the wine, you just have to push through. And that push is a decision. It's absolutely a decision.
That's great. That really, and I'll come to you next, Jacqui, but that really resonates, I think, with my own journey. People, when I ran for mayor, people were saying, you're going in against an incumbent. There's also a former member of parliament. Are you out of your mind? You could lose your seat on council and you love what we do. I had good friends telling me, we know you love what you do. Do you want to risk all of this? And in my case, it just was about the status quo was not an option anymore. It just simply was not an option. So there was something that kind of compels you to say, something has to change, something has to give, and I will leave, I'll do my part, but I'll leave the results up to the things I don't control. And in my case, it's the public gets to decide, and here I am. But there comes that moment where you realize you can't stay in one place, and whatever it is that you're doing, that status quo piece is simply not good enough, and you have to recalibrate and go in a different direction.
Hey,
and not be afraid of failure.
I had people tell me that I'm crazy for doing what I did this year, and my response was always, I would be crazy not to try. Like that to me is crazier, especially in such a crazy year. It's worth it to try. And if I fail as a business owner, I own that failure. No one can take that away, and I also own the success. So it's the good and the bad, and you have to go in it prepared for either, but again, still willing to push through.
I love that you're working with this artist, local artist on Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but more importantly, the inspirational art. I have a poster that my husband made for me, which has a quote from Teddy Roosevelt on it. It's a very famous quote, but it's essentially to say, get in the arena, you might get bloodied and you might lose. I'm totally paraphrasing here, but it's better to be in the arena than not. And I think
absolutely.
I've met so many women that's the choice, to that decision piece we were talking about. The choice is to be in the arena and let the chips fall where they may, rather than sitting it out. We're not sitter-outers. Jacqui talked to us about anything else you'd want to add to your decision making and the choice that you made to move ahead and change directions in the face of that roadblock?
Love it. I'm listening to you, wonderful ladies. I'm echoing everything that you're saying. I'm loving this panel. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was a choice. It was a decision. And absolutely, you could lock the doors and say, I've had to close my catering business because of COVID. And then that's it. Or you say, no, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to get in that ring. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm so proud of that moment because I don't want to look back with regret. I don't. And if it didn't work and people didn't come and whatever, I could say I tried. And then I would feel better about myself, but I couldn't look at my family and say I just gave up, or myself in the mirror and say I just gave up. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
no, very, very inspirational. I wanted to talk, we got, I think, about 5 or so minutes left, but I did want to touch just a little bit on the digital revolution, which has been happening in really all sectors, all retail, commercial service sectors. So talk to us about what that looks like for you, Leigh-Ann, in terms of having a digital as well as a bricks and mortar. Is it the same as it would have been pre-COVID? Has it changed with COVID? What's that component of your market right now?
Well, the bricks and mortar is, I think, how you look at it, regardless of how you look at it, whether you think it's a necessary evil or a must-have for your business, across the board, good or bad. I think to sustain, you absolutely have to have that online touch point. And certainly because of a bricks and mortar, I understand the sensitivities that not everybody is comfortable shopping in person. Now, the nice thing with our bricks and mortar is that it is a little bit off the beaten path. We'll be doing appointment booking. So when you come into the shop, you're the only person in the shop coming, which will really help to control numbers during the pandemic. But I think even to expedite the in-person shopping experience, if people choose to do that, they still want the option to maybe browse and peruse online first. So certainly launching our online shop, which is happening tomorrow, Eek, is great. And I think I also felt an obligation to do that, not just for my business, but again, for the makers, the local makers that I carry in store, because they don't necessarily have the means to put together a robust website for all of their offerings, or maybe don't have the reach with an online presence. And at the same time, they've really been undercut by doing local markets and craft shows this year, which was really their main source of income for their artisan craft. So being able to offer almost an online marketplace with all of these items is really more, in a lot of ways, a check in the box that I'm choosing to make for them as much as it is for myself and my business. It's that exposure point for the business, but also for all of the talented people that I choose to support.
That's great. Jacqui, what's digital meant for you? Is it different in COVID? Is it the same?
I've never gone to social more in my life. So digital for me has been getting out there saying, hey, we're here, we're safe. We take food handling safe. Like, obviously food handling is very important to us anyway, but during COVID, we're really watching everything. We're not an online store because I'm old school that way too. I don't want to be click here, click there, and it's just waiting for you, because I'm passionate about food. I'm passionate about what we do and our products. So I want to still talk to people. Totally believe in bricks and mortar for me as well, because it's our kitchen area, and I want people to know where their food came from as well. That's really, really important. Obviously, that it's good and it's yummy. So,
and it's the experience. I think
experience.
You can't replace with digital as much as you try. So I think having both is a great option if you can.
Yep, couldn't agree more. And that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we are just about done, and so I'll just wrap up here. Both of you touched on safety, and I think that is also a really important message to convey in this time of COVID, that every business that I've talked to in Burlington and beyond puts the safety of their staff, their customers, number one, because you want to stay in business. Right. So the measures you're taking around appointment bookings, making sure that, well, and I've seen at the Platter company, you know, you've got the markers where people stand and the flow
limited amount of people that are allowed in. We wipe things down. We take it masks. We take it very seriously, because for obvious reasons, we want to make sure that our clients are safe. We want to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that our staff is safe and that we're still in business, so we can keep doing what we love to do.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts in the last 30 seconds from you, Leigh-Ann, to share?
I would just say for anybody who might be watching this that is sitting on a seed of an idea and possibly has been coming back to it during COVID, since if you've had a pause, there's no better time than now. And I feel like there's so much support out there for a local business and a small business. So just go for it. Make that decision to go for it.
Go for it. Jacqui?
Nice.
Got about 10 seconds.
Ditto. I guess I absolutely echo that. And I'd also just like to say thank you. I'd like to use this platform as a big, huge hug, virtual hug. Thank you to the community. Thank you to everybody that's come out to support us as a local business. And it's truly changed my life. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you are truly an inspiration to me personally, and I know to our community. The She session is real, but the She-Covery is right behind it and real too. Thank you to Leigh-Ann Allaire Perrault, owner of Hulala, opening tomorrow, you said, or this week?
Tomorrow,
and,
yes.
Tomorrow, Harvester Road. Check them out online. Make your way up there with an appointment. Jacqui Cronin, owner of the Platter company on Plains Road in Aldershot. It's been a pleasure to have you both here. Very inspirational, and love your products. Thank you for joining us, and I'm signing off. Marianne Meed Ward for Burlington Matters. Thanks for tuning in.